the President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, Mr. Nihar Jambusaria, the Vice President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, CA Dr. Debashish Mitra, CA Dr. Jaykumar Batra, Acting Secretary of the ICAI, other distinguished chartered accountants present here today, watching us across the country through this webcast, students of our profession who are aspiring to be chartered accountants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really delighted to be here today at the 73rd Foundation Day ceremony of the Institute. 72 glorious years in the service of the nation, years in the service of business, years of trust, years of achievements, and undoubtedly a profession which has, over the last 72 years, clearly shown to the entire nation, possibly the entire world, how a well-managed, organized profession and professional body regulating that profession can function independently with great degree of transparency and successfully steer the future of the profession to glorious heights. My compliments to all of you. I wish all of you a very, very happy Chartered Accountants Day, and also bring with me the good wishes of the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, who, while expressing his thoughts on the Chartered Accountants Foundation Day, reminded us of some of what he had mentioned 4 years ago. In fact, in some sense, I think when he spoke about us in the Mann Ki Baat, he reaffirmed his faith in our profession and his confidence in our abilities, and also his desire to see this profession truly prosper and become an engine of India's brighter future, an engine which will take India across the whole world and will showcase our talent, showcase our abilities to the rest of the world. In fact, the Prime Minister had also called us the gurus of the finance world. I am quite confident, and as Nihar Bhai was just talking about the changes you have brought about in your regulations, the new guidelines that have been approved by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, your own effort to allow multi-dimensional skill sets within the chartered accountancy firms. I'm sure with all of these initiatives, and possibly some more which I will venture to suggest today, we can truly see our profession, as they say, going across the 7 seas, crossing unsurmountable barriers, or at least seemingly unsurmountable barriers, but achieving success across the world. In fact, today is both the Chartered Accountants Day and the Doctors' Day. We even had to reschedule our timing because the Honorable Prime Minister was addressing the country and all the doctors earlier at 3 o'clock. In fact, in some sense, while the doctors take care of the health of society, I believe all of us chartered accountants, and I hope you still consider me as one of yours, all of us chartered accountants are responsible to take care of the health of the economy. And that's a big responsibility on all of us. not to be taken lightly, and certainly casting very onerous responsibilities on each and every chartered accountant, in each and every person who gets the stamp of a chartered accountant before his name, who's called a CA. That fraternity that we have has to hold its head high, and that can only be done when 100% of the chartered accountants, even a 99.9% doesn't work. When 100% of the chartered accountants align themselves with this shared vision and with a common mission to earn the respect of every stakeholder, both in India and internationally. During COVID-19, while the doctors, as frontline workers, faced a lot of stress while saving lives, working day and night in the service of humanity, and we all salute our doctors, our frontline professionals, the paramedical staff, and the entire ecosystem which worked through the pandemic without bothering about their own health, without bothering about their own well-being. I believe in our own small way, the chartered accountants also have worked very, very diligently to keep the wheels of the economy going. And we were able to bring back economic momentum. We were able to bring back large parts of the economy to pre-COVID levels and are once again back on the growth trajectory. The second wave certainly has taken its toll on the economy to some extent, but fortunately we were able to tide over the second wave and are today well on the path to recovery. We lost a lot of precious lives. I doubt there would be a single family which has remained unaffected by COVID during the last 15 months. I'd pay my condolences to all those who lost their lives during the COVID pandemic. I pray for their soul. I would wish to convey my prayers to the family members of all those who lost their lives during COVID. But it is our duty to carry forward the good work that they had all done, that they were all doing, and that is the only homage, that is the only way we can respect those who laid down their lives during the COVID pandemic. As chartered accountants focusing on the economy, it's important that we save livelihoods. I remember when the first stories about COVID came out, February and March of 2020, India was totally ill-prepared to face this pandemic. Very often as time passes, you forget the context in which a certain decision was taken. But if you look back at March of 2020, India didn't have enough testing facilities. In fact, the entire country of 130 crore Indians had barely 4 testing laboratories and could test 2,500 cases a day. We didn't make personal protective equipment in India. They were all imported. For the testing, equipment, both machinery and the consumables, were all imported. We didn't know what shape and turn of events COVID will take because there was no precedent. There was no historical evidence. There was no medical protocol. We didn't know what medicines will work, what will not work. There was no preventive vaccine. Masks were not being used at that point of time. Consciousness about COVID had not reached the villages of India. And at that point of time, a very strong lockdown imposed nationally across the country helped India save lives and livelihoods. We paid a price in the short term, but the country was able to get some time to prepare ourselves to face the big battle ahead of us. Not only did we ramp up our testing facilities, we now test at an average 20 lakh, 25 lakh cases every day through the length and breadth of the country. Testing kits are made in India. We are Atmanirbhar in our testing kits. Personal protective equipment are made in India. Again, a shining example of the capabilities of our Indian entrepreneurs who have not only made us self-sufficient in PPEs, but have also helped us create surplus capacities by which we are serving other parts of the world through PPEs made in India. We are one of the world's largest mask manufacturers today. Consciousness about COVID protocols has reached 130 crore Indians due to the relentless efforts of Prime Minister Shri Modi and each and every one of the citizens of India who have worked as a team to take the precautions, to take the message across the country. A serious effort to develop vaccines in India has resulted in quite a bit of success. We have our own indigenously developed vaccine, Covaxin. We also have licensing arrangements with AstraZeneca and Sputnik, which will help us both import and manufacture in India. A fourth vaccine has just got approved last week. More are in the pipeline. The vaccination drive is proceeding very rapidly across the country. Vaccine hesitancy is still seen in several places. We all can also play a role in helping people overcome that vaccine hesitancy. Consciousness about safety, protocols, security, personal hygiene, repeatedly keeping our own hands, face clean, wearing masks. Now the doctors are saying wearing double mask. Maintaining social distancing so that we don't have large programs, just like we have done today, that we focused totally on the webcast and did not allow any large gathering. Otherwise, with chartered accountants, I know what kind of gatherings you can put together, having experienced it on 1st of July 2017. And I'll never forget that day because I thought some of the chartered accountants will probably start bashing me up at the door of the stadium. When the stadium was full, the wrestling stadium that we took up was full, and we still had thousands of students and chartered accountants waiting outside the doors. Truly an example of the strength of this institute and what we can do once we make up our mind. And I'm reminding you of this only to share with you that whether it comes to taking vaccines to the nook and corner of the country, whether it comes to educating people about the importance of being vaccinated, the importance that everybody gets vaccinated. Because all those who remain unvaccinated are ultimately again a threat to each other, including those who have got vaccinated. The importance that the economy will survive, will grow if we can get vaccines out quickly. The fact that we are increasing the production of vaccines almost every month will help us take the drive to even greater heights. And I'm sure that just like in the second wave, we were able to overcome the COVID spread through micro-containment zones without having to go through national lockdowns, because of which we have been able to save livelihoods, save lives, save large parts of the economy, and have proved to the world that it's not always one size fits all when it comes to strategy. We needed the national lockdown in 2020. We did it at whatever it cost to the economy, because lives were at stake. Having now learned how to cope with the pandemic, we were able to use micro-containment zones and still overcome the second wave, because through the learnings and through the preparedness that was carried out over the last 15 months, India, our doctors, our medical equipment, our hospitals, everybody was much more wiser, much more prepared. Of course, there are some naysayers who will oppose everything that is done. So they opposed the lockdown when it was first initiated, when the country needed it, when we didn't have national protocols, when we didn't have enough capabilities to handle the COVID. And then there were those who demanded a national lockdown the second time around, when really it would not have made any difference, because the COVID spread in different states at different points of time. We have world experience now to go by. Very, very developed countries have had second wave, third wave, fourth wave. We are all working collectively to see that we can protect our people from the detrimental effects of the future. But clearly, this calls for a national teamwork. This calls for working in partnership with each other. And I'm delighted that the Institute has taken it upon itself to continue to serve the economy, continue to carry out our professional duties, continue to carry out imparting education to our students. I'm happy to hear about your CSR activities, where you have spent 4.72 crore rupees. Should there be need of more, please be more liberal. This is the time for each and every one of us to have a heart of gold. And I have no doubt in my mind that the Institute will also consider maybe rolling out vaccination programs for our students, for chartered accountants, maybe tying up with some hospitals in remote parts of India, so that we can also possibly adopt a few districts or a few hundred or a few thousand villages, maybe take some mobile facilities to remote areas, maybe as an institute take up the Northeast or Jammu Kashmir and see what we can do in those areas. I don't know. I'm just throwing thoughts for you to deliberate upon. But we clearly have a mission ahead of us. COVID fight is not over, and I'm sure the Institute will continue to look at what more we can do in this during this period. I think Madam mentioned, or probably the Deputy Secretary mentioned about integrity when we spoke about the Institute and about chartered accountants. What does ICAI stand for me? To me, the ICAI and the fact that I have a CA written before me should reflect integrity, should reflect commitment, should reflect accountability, and if I may venture to suggest, should also reflect intellect, intelligence. And as a CA, we have lots of challenges ahead of us. The very fact that we are called a CA is that there are challenges ahead, but we are competent to handle those challenges ahead of us. That we are committed to handle them with the highest level of transparency, integrity, commitment, and intelligence. You were just now mentioning we are one amongst the top 2 or 3 top accounting bodies in the world. Clearly, the world has seen in our institute high standards of ethics, technical know-how, and very stringent examination standards. I remember, at least when I did my CA, I don't know how the numbers stack up now, but barely 1% of the students used to pass. And most students wouldn't do both the sets of groups together. I remember at one point even I was contemplating not doing both the groups together. I just realized that the other day when somebody was mentioning to me that he didn't do the finals, both the groups, it was too difficult, too much to handle, and therefore lost his rank. And then I was looking back at my time. But clearly, it's great to see a profession which is recognized, respected. There's a yearning for people to be chartered accountants. Today you also mentioned about the Chartered Accountancy Institute, our ICAI, becoming a member of the ASEAN Federation of Accountants. ASEAN is a large bloc with which India is looking to expand our trading relationship in a big way. But clearly, all of these things will only work when we as a profession decide that we are now going to engage with the world from a position of strength, that we are going to engage with the world, take the footprints of our profession across the world, and Indian accounting firms are going to become international names to reckon with, so that when we go to any part of the world, just like you have large billboards or large neon signs announcing the office of some of these large accounting firms, we will read about some Indian firms, completely Indian names, on large billboards, on large neon signs of a 50, 100-story building, showcasing an Indian chartered accountants firm providing services to the world. In fact, our IT sector, and soon after I leave from here, I'm going to be reviewing the services sector as a whole. There's some chartered accountants also in that. But when I look at the services sector and I engage with, let's say, the IT sector, we are almost looking at a $500 billion export of our IT services in the next 4 or 5 years. We don't stack up anywhere near that. Opening of our chapters should not only be because we have chartered accountants who studied in India and are serving in other parts of the world. I would urge the profession and the leaders of the profession before me today to see how we are going to encourage more and more of our chartered accountants, brothers and sisters, to look at scale, to look at larger firms, to look at the possibilities of mergers, acquisitions, partnerships, as you said, larger networks, working together to truly become world-class and of a size that the world recognizes. I think we need to have a little bit more hunger towards that ambition. Sometimes I feel that we've got into a cozy comfort zone. I have 20 chartered accountants in my firm. I have 2,000 clients. I have 70 or maybe 170 limited companies or private limited companies that all of us put together are auditing. अब हमारी सोच बदलने का समय आ गया है. What we need is a complete mindset change, a reset of our ambitions as a profession. And we need to have some targets, because then only we can really work towards a goal. The Prime Minister, I remember in 2017, had talked about what? At least 10 global firms coming out of the stables of Indian chartered accountants. Of course, the big four often feel that I'm all the time bashing them, which I'm not really trying to do. But ultimately, and most of them, they're all Indian chartered accountant brothers and sisters working there also. पर हमारा ब्रांड क्यों नहीं दुनिया में रिकॉग्नाइज हो सकता है? I would like to see the day when some of our firms are working out of the United States, out of all the European capitals, working out of the UAE and all the Gulf countries, working out of Japan, Korea, and hiring chartered accountants or accounting professionals from those countries to work in our firms. That's what we have to all aspire for. And that will need some letting go also. Partnerships are not easy. Collective working is not always easy. But that will have to be the rules of the game if we need to bring scale to our work, scale to our profession. If we want to become ambassadors of India worldwide, if we want to start seeing what kind of exports, Indian chartered accountants, export of services we can do, then we'll need to invest in libraries, we'll need to invest in research, we'll need to invest in technology, we'll need to invest in knowledge, in better practices, high standards that the accounting profession has the capability of doing. I would like to accept all of you, request all of you to seriously consider whether the institute itself can also play some kind of a facilitator role in helping us achieve scale. Can we help by some guidance note of how firms will be valued, for example? So that itself will become a big problem if we are looking at merging and expanding the footprints of each firm. Can we look at some experts working as a team to see how firms will be valued, how future cash flows of existing firms should be taken into consideration, how synergies and scale will help the combination of two or more firms to become larger than the individual firms. In fact, every mathematical formula also says that. I would think that for us to be a partner in the nation's progress, we will all have to start seeing how we can be much more engaged in the startup ecosystem, for example. Can we train our young, new chartered accountants to do valuations of startups in the new age world? Working from home, WFH opens up large opportunities for us to export our capabilities. And in the last 15 months, we have all experienced how work from home can improve our efficiency manifold, significantly. You have also shared with me about some of your new initiatives, the MSME initiative, for example, the MSME exchange, you call it. You have talked about a help desk. You've talked about the Sahayata Kendras. You've talked about your financial and tax literacy drive. I believe today you have launched a new program on financial and tax literacy, Vittiya Gyan, or you're going to launch it. All right. Similarly, let us also see what we can do to prepare ourselves for the future. Can we look at, I heard or I read in this that you're looking at going more vernacular, looking at more regional languages. Great. Can our institute also start a program to train people in French and Spanish maybe? You have? Oh, wonderful. So you're one ahead of the curve already. And if we are all willing to accept this ambition, if we are all willing to act towards a new alignment of our profession, my sense is then instead of challenges ahead, we can say challenges accepted when we say CA. And let us resolve that when we turn 75, 3 years from now, can we all look at having our first set of global world-class chartered accountancy firms serving clients worldwide, tax, management, project consultancy, consulting with governments across the world, working with mergers, acquisitions, HR, capacity building. Sky's the limit, ladies and gentlemen, about what we can all do. A word of caution though. When we talk about looking and aspiring to be big, thinking big, we'll also have to evolve our ground rules which are comparable and compatible to that scale. Traditionally, and I hope you will take what I'm going to say in the right spirit, somehow, traditionally, all of us chartered accountants have been trained to think in a very small, myopic world. How can we help our client in some tax planning? If there's a particular law or a regulation, what can we do remaining within the letter of the law? Yet, well, there's a little gray area in between. Somehow, over the years, this is what has also come to define our profession. I think the world has moved on. Regulations globally look at substance over form. Today the time has come where this cat and mouse game will not work. A regulator comes out with a law or a regulation or a guideline. Professionals, and not necessarily only chartered accountants, but professionals are trying to work around that regulation. Over a period of time, the regulator catches on, comes up with some clarification or a new guideline. Now you have a problem, you start complaining there's no predictability. Regulator has no choice because you tried to break the original regulation spirit. Now you are looking at another way to break the new guideline. And this cat and mouse game keeps going on and on. Of course, there's one sector which is my favorite sector, where I've often talked about this, but I'll refrain from getting diverted into that sector, where this cat and mouse game is costing the nation dear and actually affecting our economy. But I think this finding of loopholes and finding of devices to beat the spirit of the law is a relic of the past. It's a bygone story. Today, clients want peace. They want certainty. They don't want long-drawn, costly litigation and confusion. And I think if we chartered accountants take it upon ourselves that we'll ensure a very orderly behavior of our profession, we will ensure that we give the right advice within the letter and spirit of the law. We will not encourage people to try and beat the system. If at all we find something is wrong, we engage with the authorities. Just like you're doing with the finance ministry now to find a solution to the problem that you articulated. I think similarly, if there's a problem, let's talk about it in a rational fashion. Let's find solutions. Rather than misguiding clients, after all, nobody can deny that when we put our signature on any document, be it an annual report, be it a certificate, or anything that we are affixing our signature as a chartered accountant, there's a huge burden of faith that that signature carries. There is a huge trust that the recipient of that certificate, the reader of that document, places on our chartered accountant's signature. Let us hold that signature's esteem. Let us build that trust in that signature, that a document signed by a chartered accountant, an annual report signed by us, can be trusted upon to truly reflect the true and fair view of the state of affairs of whatever we are certifying. Because ultimately, a lot of the problems that the nation faces could have easily been detected very early on if somebody amongst us had been more diligent in the work that we carried out in our quality and standard that we maintained in our work. I am not at all trying to suggest that the profession as a whole does this, but as I started off, if we have to earn the goodwill, respect and trust of the world, we will need to have 100% credibility ingrained in each and every one of us, so that that trust is never let down, so that each one of us working to support each other and yet keeping a watchful eye on each other also, works as a team to make this profession achieve the high glory that our founding fathers, maybe 72 years ago, must have set for themselves and for this institute. I have no doubt in my mind that collectively we can achieve this. As the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi had said, and I quote, "Your signature is more powerful than that of a Prime Minister. It is your moral responsibility to guide one towards righteous conduct and practice." I think all of us need to reflect on the huge responsibility that is cast upon us. I would urge each and every one of the 77,000 chartered accountants, students who are logged on at this point of time on this webcast, and if 77,000 are watching live, I don't know how many more would be there on each of those points of dissemination. And I do hope this message goes out loud and clear to each and every chartered accountant in this country, to each and every student aspiring to be a chartered accountant. It is our joint and collective responsibility, or in legal parlance, joint and several responsibility, to maintain the flag of the institute high. I am sure we will do it, we can do it, and we certainly are committed to doing it. All the very best to each one of you and your families. Stay safe, stay healthy. Please ensure that you, your families, and everybody in your ecosystem maintains COVID protocol. Let's not get out of the masks when in public places. Let's maintain social distancing, personal hygiene, and get everybody we know, encourage every person in our friend circle, in our neighborhood, in our company, to get vaccinated and remain safe. Good luck to you and your families. Congratulations once again on this auspicious day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Your address has definitely paved the way for a better understanding of our roles and responsibilities as a chartered accountants. I would now request our President, CA Niharan Jambusaria ji, to present a shawl and a memento to our Chief Guest, CA Piyush Goyal ji, as a token of appreciation. A great round of applause, please. The ICAI today, on the occasion of Chartered Accountants Day, would also be making launches and would be releasing certain publications. These committees behind the publications have made immense contribution to our institution, and what better day than today to reveal it to all. I am pleased to announce the launch of Financial and Tax Literacy Drive and Multilingual website, the mobile app ICAI BOS for CA students, the Oddity Quality Maturity Model version 1.0, and all of this would be showed to you via a video.
We all live in a complex world of money and finances, struggling to manage our income and expenses. To fill this knowledge